Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. It goes without saying that the amazing Black Uhuru is one of the greatest reggae groups of all time. Statistically speaking, they are the second most commercially successful and became reggae's leading light in the immediate post-Bob Marley era for the rest of 1980s. They were literally a juggernaut since their debut album Showcase hit record store shelves in 1979. The iconic trio of Michael Rose, Puma Jones and Duckie Simpson were bigger than rock stars, unleashing multi-platinum selling records and headlining massive concerts where they mesmerized tens of thousands of ecstatic fans all over the world. But at the very peak of their success, the wheels would fall off their wagon when lead singer Michael Rose went solo after internal tensions boiled over in 1984. It wasn't the first time that group had seen a lineup change, and founder Duckie Simpson soon replaced Michael Rose with a super vocalist named Junior Reid. And though not with the same velocity as with the previous lead singer, the group roared back to life for the next few years, until the wheels came off once again when Ducky and Junior Reid fell out, and the latter left the trio after just 4 years. The exit of Michael Rose was more acrimonious and publicized, but for very interesting reasons. Duckie Simpson took greater exception to Junior Reid and the circumstances surrounding his exit. I'd heard many rumors about the so-called beef, but never took it seriously until I began to notice it more and more in interviews of Duckie Simpson over the years. It would inspire me to do some digging into the raw truth about why he dropped out of Black Uhuru, its mortal impact on the band, and the true reason why Duckie Simpson never forgave him. It all began in 1984 as Black Uhuru 3.0 was running up a massive world tour put together to promote their albums, Chill Out, and eventual Grammy winner, Anthem. It was a tour which had seen Duckie Simpson and Michael Rose clash bitterly over what Ducky described as the then lead singer's growing ego. They held a meeting at the Kingston Sheraton Hotel to chart the way forward, but it descended into a shouting match that saw an angry Robbie Shakespeare toss a chair into the swimming pool, before storming out of that meeting with Sly Dunbar and Michael Rose finally quitting the band to become a solo artist. Ducky went back to the drawing board and went on the search for a replacement. Ace percussionist and close friend of his called Sidney Wolfe, who incidentally was Beenie Man's uncle, suggested a young Sinjay called Junior Reid, who has scored a hit with a song called Boom Shakalaka. This young cat, like Michael and Ducky, also came from their old neighborhood of Waterhouse, and like many singers from that hood, had cut his teeth as a vocalist at a street called the Whalers Corner. Ducky was skeptical as Reid was more of a toaster than a singer, but took him on anyway. Chris Blackwell, who was a huge fan of the former lineup of Black Uhuru, refused to renew their recording contract without Michael Rose, but there was still a number of shows left in Europe, so Junior Reid was slot in as lead singer, and despite the huge void left by his predecessor, he would deliver a spectacular series of performances that showed that the group was far from done. In fact, to many, he was even a more versatile replacement, in that while Michael Rose was only a singer, Junior Reid could sing, Sinjay, and toast, in what was the era that dancehall had become the #1 sound out of Jamaica. And once that tour was over, Ducky took Junior Reid and his family out of the hood at Waterhouse and moved them uptown into the more plush neighborhood of Jacks Hill in Kingston, while contemplating on the future of the group. Though out of a contract, they were still a red-hot and very popular group. A few months later, Black Uhuru signed a deal with an upcoming label called Ras Records, owned by ex-radio DJ Gary Himmelfarb, aka Dr. Dread, and recorded the songs that made up the album Brutal, which was released in 1986. It spawned the smash hit song Great Train Robbery, as well as smaller hits like Let Us Pray and Fit You Happy Fit. And though not as big as their albums with Island Records, it was truly a decent hit that charted in several countries around the globe. It was followed by Positive in 1987, a decent album but less successful commercially, and their last project with Ras Records. By that time, a number of record labels were trying to sign Black Uhuru and were coming to Jamaica to pitch their deals to Ducky. In 1988, UK pop singer Yaz came to the island with her husband to see if they could partner with the group. Her husband, Jazz Summers, was also her manager and owner of Big Life record label. They invited Ducky for a meeting at their hotel to discuss a deal. Ducky took Junior Reid along for the chat, and the couple would put them up in different luxury suites at the hotel. And Reid was by then like Ducky's right-hand man, as Puma Jones had by then left the group due to ill health. When Jas Summers made his offer and gave Ducky a draft contract, Ducky asked for time to go over it with his lawyers and promised to finalize in a few days' time. But unknown to Ducky, his bandmate Junior Reid had secret plans of his own. The next day, Ducky went to check for Jas Summers in his room and couldn't find him, and was told by the hotel staff that he had left for England early that morning. Naturally, Ducky was surprised, but his shock multiplied when he learned that Junior Reid had also left for England with the couple. Apparently, Reid, with 6 years under his belt as a solo artist, still had secret dreams of doing his own thing. After leaving the meeting with Ducky, it seems he went back on his own and cut a deal with Jas Summers. Summers was an ace in the business and hadn't only produced and managed his wife, Yaz, but had also managed pop superstars, Wham. After arriving in England, he would orchestrate Junior Reid's collaboration with electronic pop duo Cold Cuts for the hit song Stop This Crazy Thing before 1988 was over. Junior Reid came back to Jamaica a few months later, as Black Uhuru had a massive world tour lined up that was supposed to roll through Europe, Asia and America. He came face to face with a very angry Ducky, who of course felt betrayed, and that first meeting descended into a shouting match and falling out, in which it became official that after that tour, Junior Reid was no longer part of Black Uhuru. That tour was a huge success in Europe and Asia, but while trying to enter America, Reid was turned back by immigration, and his role in that tour came to an impromptu end. The American leg seemed to be in danger, but luckily Don Carlos was also on that same tour as a solo artist and filled in for Reid in a move the promoters hyped as a reunion of the original Black Uhuru lineup from 1972. Junior Reid went back to England and signed officially for Summers' company Big Life Records that released what is arguably his biggest song of all time in the legendary One Blood, which came out in 1989, a massive anthem that became a huge global hit. Big Life Records also arranged a collaboration between Reid and pop rock band The Soup Dragons for the hit song I'm Free in 1990, before unleashing his albums One Blood in the same year, Long Road in 1990 and Progress in 1991. This collaboration, more than anything, placed Junior Reid as a global artist who was capable of blending the hardcore roots reggae sound with the fast-growing electronic music scene of that era. He would consolidate on his star power with his own label, JR Productions, via which he would release his own material into the 1990s and beyond, when his music would be adored and adopted by hip-hop royalty in the 2000s, with artists like the Wu-Tang Clan, The Game, and Mims, who would feature him on several massive hit songs throughout that decade. In simple terms, his solo success took off courtesy of his affiliation with Black Uhuru, and the way it came about left Duckie Simpson feeling used and insulted. Black Uhuru continued without Junior Reid and with considerable success for a few years, but I truly believe that a collaboration with Big Life Records might have been a better option and would have translated into more success. On a personal level, I totally understand Ducky's anger. Taking your bandmate to a meeting for the whole team with that same bandmate literally hijacking it for himself must have been very painful. But thank goodness that these days Ducky is more philosophical and reflective about the whole thing and attributes it to how most people in the industry aren't really loyal, and that is a definite feature and fact about the music business. In the music business, people come and people go. So there you have it. Thank you for watching this video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.